Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, what is up? It's your host with the most entertaining people like you from coast to coast, Waveman Mike, and we're back for another video. Stay tuned. In today's video, I'm going to be teaching you how to taper fade your own hair. Just a little disclaimer, this can be pretty tricky to get right. So don't expect to get some perfect result on the first try. Maybe not even the first 10 times. Odds are your first few times you're going to mess up, but that's okay. You're teaching yourself an important skill that you may mess up now, but later it's really going to pay off. So just keep that in mind. So first up, let's list the materials that you'll need. The first material you'll need is a hair clipper. These are used to actually cut your hair down, and it's very important in tapering your hair. When looking for a clipper, make sure you find one with a lever like this that can open and close. Later in this video, I'll go over the difference between open and close. Also, make sure you find a clipper that comes with a set of guards like this. Most clippers come with guards 1 through 8. I recommend finding clippers that come with guards below the 1 guard as well, but we'll go over the guards later in this video as well. The next material you're going to need is a trimmer. You could also call this an outliner. Really, it's whatever you call it. When it comes to trimmers, I recommend finding one that's pretty high powered. There are a lot of trimmers out there that aren't really that good, and you don't really need to buy one that's super expensive, but just make sure you at least check the reviews before you just buy the cheapest trimmer out there. While we're on the topic of finding good quality clippers and trimmers, there is something that I should plug right now. I found these really nice quality clippers that actually are pretty affordable. If you go to thecutbuddy.com, you can get both of these in a bundle together for only $65. Yes, the whole bundle is $65, which is an extremely good deal. Most clippers are over $65 by themselves, and the trimmers are another $65 by themselves. So to get both of these together for $65 is pretty good. And both the clippers and the trimmers come with their own guards. They're wireless, and they come with a charger, and there's other stuff that comes in the kit as well. So if this sounds like something you're interested in, make sure you check this out at www.thecutbuddy.com, and make sure you use my code WavemanMike so you get a discount whenever you purchase this kit. The link will be down in the description. So now, let me do an explanation of what it means for your clipper to have the lever closed versus open. When the clipper is in this back position like this, it's open. When it's in this forward position like this, it's closed. You can choose to either all the way close it or just, partially close it. The clipper that I have has several notches in the middle so that it clicks. This can be very helpful. But some clippers, they just smoothly glide, and that's still okay. You can just predict wherever you think the middle will be, and so on and so forth. So when the lever is all the way open, the clipper is going to cut your hair at a higher length than versus it being closed. Let me give you a close-up of what happens when you close and open the lever. Now you can see the lever is closed. Do you see how close these blades are to this? Now watch as I open it. Do you see the distance getting further from these blades? To simplify it, basically your hair can only go as far as this allows. So if this is further from these blades that are actually cutting your hair, then your hair can only be cut but so low. When you close it, they get closer, cutting your hair lower than if the lever was open. If that explanation really didn't make sense to you, then you can watch my older video on how to taper fade your hair. A lot of people are saying that's the best tutorial on YouTube, and I did do a slightly better job at explaining in that video. So if you want to check it out, then you can. Now let me explain clipper guards. Depending on what guard you put on your clipper will depend on the length that your hair can be cut to. The lower the number that you see on the guard, the lower the length your hair will be. As you can see, this one has a number 5 on, meaning this is the 5 guard. The length for each guard is usually universal per clipper, so you don't have to worry about the 5 guard on this clipper being different from that clipper. It's usually universal. When you're taper fading your hair, a 5 guard is not a typical guard that you would need to use. So let me go to the guards that you usually will see in a taper fade. This is the 1 guard. It's a pretty low guard, as you can see. It's 1. The 1 guard is for 3 millimeters, which is also equal to 1/8 inch. So whenever you put this guard onto the clipper, you're adding 1/8 of an inch onto what the cut would be. You can also cut your hair with no guard on the clipper. This would obviously come out a lot lower than having a guard on it, but that will be explained later when I actually start cutting my hair. So now that I'm done with the basic instructions, let me demonstrate what I just explained to you. First things first, get some type of brush so you can lay your hair down. It's important to brush your hair down because you want your hair to be in the place that it would need to be when you cut it. Now it's time to set the bald guideline. You can either use your trimmer or you can use your clipper with the lever all the way closed with no guard. And of course, whatever you do to one side, make sure you do that to the other side. So now let's go ahead and cut that first guideline. This is going to be the lowest line of them all, so make sure you do not go too high. If you want a reference point, you can just cut yours in the same location that I cut mine. This line does not need to be super straight because you're going to end up blending it out anyway. Make sure to brush your hair back down after each guideline. And just like I said before, whatever you do to one side, make sure you do it to the other. Now we are done with the trimmer and it is time to move on to the clipper. Remember, you could have done this all with the clipper as well, with the lever all the way closed and no guard on it. And now it's time for the next guideline. Have your lever all the way open. So this is closed, this is open. Okay, so these are the notches that I have on mine. Yours might not have notches, but that's okay. And take your clipper, have no guard on it, and the lever all the way open. And then you're just gonna go just above the line you just set in the previous step, just like this. There really aren't any specific measurements I could give you because everyone's head is a different size and shape. But just for reference, I'm going about 1/2 inch above the first guideline that I set when I'm making this next guideline. You can try to follow along exactly how I'm doing it on my head and see if that works for you. But if it doesn't work, you can always try it a different way. After this guideline, make sure you brush your hair back down. And make sure you repeat those same steps on the other side. If you need a reminder, you're using the clipper with no guard and the lever all the way open. Here's a pro tip that I rarely hear in self-cut tutorials. Remember that your hair can grow in different directions, so make sure you point those clippers in other directions just in case you aren't getting your hair completely even. If you find that your hair isn't getting completely even, that might be the reason. So maybe you might need to point them a little bit to the left, maybe a little bit to the right. Pointing them straight up might not be completely even every single time. Now go ahead and brush your hair down. Now it's time to blend out that first guideline. So you're going to use your lever and you're going to move it in between being all the way closed and all the way open. For this video, I'm probably just going to make it in the middle, but you could also do like 3/4 open or 1/4 open. Just really play around with the lever until that line is all the way gone. If this still is not making sense to you, do not worry. Later in this video, I will try to include an illustration that should help you figure out how to blend out lines. now what I'm going to do is take that lever and put it in the middle. This will help blend out the transition between having the lever all the way closed and all the way open. And now I'm going to make my next guideline with the 0.5 guard. For some of you out there, this guard might be called the 0 guard instead of the 0.5 guard. Now we're going to have the lever all the way open and we're going to start the next guideline. And remember, anything you do to one side, you're going to do that to the other side. Make sure to brush those hairs down. And now with the same guard on, go ahead and close the lever and cut at the bottom of where that guideline is. Remember, if the whole concept of blending does not seem very clear to you, make sure you stick around until the end of the video because I will be adding an extra explanation. Now it's time to use that one guard. Have the lever all the way open. As you can probably already predict, you're going to need to brush your hair down after you finish that. Now it's time to grab the 2 guard and start blending out the top area. So a better way to do this is not to just start digging in. Instead, flick. You see the direction that I'm moving the clipper in right now? I'm doing like a flicking motion. I'm not digging straight in. take your brush, brush your hair down, and inspect your work. Now I'm gonna take my one guard and start matching my work on the other side of my head. So just go ahead and follow the exact same steps you did on the other side. Now it's time to brush that hair down so you can inspect your work. And once you've done that, grab your two guard and do the same thing you did on the other side. Remember, we are not digging in. Instead, we are flicking out. Always remember to brush your hair down and inspect your work. This is very important because you want to do it now instead of waiting until later and then you find something wrong and you don't remember what guard you had or how far the lever was closed or open. So it's always best to do it right then in the middle of cutting your hair. Okay, so now for the back taper, and it's actually the exact same steps. You're going to use the same guards. You're going to have the lever open and close at the same time. So first up, get your trimmer and set a guideline at the very bottom. This line is a little bit different for everybody, just depending on the shape of your head and how long your neck is. But for reference, I usually like to line it up at the bottom of my ears. And you're gonna grab your clippers just like you did on the side tapers, and you're gonna have the lever all the way open, and you're gonna use that to make your next guideline in the back. So I'm gonna go up about 1/2 inch. As you can see, my line might not be perfectly straight. I'm just gonna be honest. My camera is in the way of the mirror, so I really can't see what I'm doing, but I do have, a little sense of what I'm doing, and I think I should be able to do it even though I can't see. And now it's time to blend that guideline out. So we're gonna go ahead and close the lever on our clipper, and you see that first guideline we did with our trimmer at the very bottom. That is where we're going to start blending with our lever close. So you can see how I'm just barely touching that line, and that should help blend it out. Now I'm going to open the lever halfway. As you can see, I just did that right there. And then I'm going to go up halfway in between the first guideline and the second guideline. As you can see, it should be blending out a little bit more. This first area right here is usually the easiest to blend. As you can see, it's already starting to look blended out, and that's because there's not much hair right there to work with anyway. Now I'm going to take my 0.5 guard, yours might be called the 0 guard, and I'm going to start the next guideline. The lever is all the way open, as you can see, and this one is about another 1/2 inch right above that guideline you did with the no guard. Just a little reminder, if the hair isn't seeming to cut when you cut upward, just try going sideways. Maybe your hair grows in a different way. This is why it's so important to brush your hair down, because this whole line right here wasn't even visible before I brushed my hair down. So now I'm gonna close the lever and start blending out that bottom guideline right there. And can you predict what you need to do after you finish this? That's right, brush your hair down. Make sure you check your work always, the same way you would do it in like a math class or something. Now open that lever up halfway and you're gonna blend in the middle of that guideline. So at first you were blending at the bottom, now you're blending in the middle. Know what to do, brush it down, grab that one guard and do essentially the same steps. This time I'm going to try not telling you what to do. That way I can see if you can figure it out by yourself. Of course, I can't see you, so I won't know if you do it correctly, but you can rewind in the video and see if you did it correctly. And if you did, or if you didn't, go ahead and leave a comment down below to see if you were able to do it by yourself without instructions for this time. All right, so now grab your 2-guard, and just like the last time, I'm not going to explain this to you. A very essential part of learning things is being able to do it on your own. So I just want you to try to do this on your own. And if you can't, remember, you can always scroll back in the video and watch the way I did it with the sides, because these are the same steps that you did on the side of your hair. So this is what the final product of the tapers should look like. Maybe yours looks a little bit worse. Maybe it looks a little bit better. Hopefully it looks better. And if it does, then great, you're a natural. And if it doesn't, then that's fine. That's completely understandable. This is something that's not easy to do the first few times. Now I'm just trying to give you as many angles as I can so you can just see what my product looks like, and I guess you can compare yours. Okay, so now I'm going to do my best to draw an illustration that should help you get a clearer vision as to what the steps actually are. Okay, so imagine this first line as the first guideline. This is with no guard on, and the lever is completely closed. I'm just going to write there that is closed right beside it. Okay, then about a 1/2 inch up, you're going to have also no guard, but you're going to have the lever all the way open. So I'm just going to write 100% open. Then you're going to go back down above where you had it 100% closed, and you're going to open that lever just 25%. So not halfway, not 75, but 25% open. Okay, so this is where you're starting to blend in between the closed and the 100% open. So then you're going to have it 50% open, which is just above that 25% open, and 75% open. Okay, does that make sense? I'm hoping, since I'm drawing this on, something that's easier to see than skin, that it's a lot easier to understand. So now you're just going to replicate those same steps, but this time you have a different guard on your clipper. So you still have the closed, the 25% open, the 50% open, the 75% open, and the 100% open. But the only difference is, at first you had no guard on. Now you have the 0.5 guard on, or the 0 guard on, if your clipper has that. Remember, like I said, each clipper has things named differently. So now I'm just going to make it easier to understand. I'm just going to go ahead and mark what guard is on, which set of directions. So right here, it has no guard on at all. So everything that you do in that first section, no guard. Then just above it, it's the 0.5 guard. So I hope this is easy to understand. I'm pretty sure it is, but I know some people take a few steps to understand some things, so I'm just trying to make it as easy as possible for other people. So right above that 0.5 guard is going to be the 1 guard, and then so on and so forth with whatever guard you do next. It could be the 1.5 guard, the 2 guard, the 2.5 guard, the 3 guard, and you just keep going up until it blends into the rest of your hair. So this is actually the end of the video. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you learned something new. Tell me in the comment section below, did you learn anything? Are you going to try to cut your hair yourself? And if you do, go ahead and send me a DM on Instagram or something. Send a picture of your hair, or if you still need extra help, you can always go send me a message. But that's the end of this video. I'm Waveman Mike. Subscribe, comment, and like. Enjoy your day.